In this video, I'm going to talk about word art, footers, and then being able to run your grammar spell check. So I'm using the Career Finders PowerPoint, and when we talk about wanting to use word art, it's just a way to be able to enhance the text rather than just using your basic text from the Home tab, which is what we're usually used to doing. You can click on your text, you can find out what font you're using, you can find out what your point size is, and it's just a way to be able to, again, enhance that font. You want to be consistent throughout your presentation, so you need to decide where you believe that word art would maybe be the most effective. So in this particular case, I'm going to go ahead and use word art on the title slide, in the actual title, and then on the ending slide so that they match. And so what I'm going to do is go ahead and I'm just going to click the Career Finders text, and I'm going to go ahead and delete that out of there. And then I'm going to go to the Insert tab, and under the text grouping I have word art. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on word art, and then I can pick whatever I want for my word art. I can keep it very basic, or I can change it to enhance it a little bit. Before I do that, again, let me just go back to the title slide and check from the Home tab. The font is actually called Garamond Headings. So I'll go back to the ending slide because I want to be able to add some word art in there. I'm going to go ahead back to the Insert tab, click on word art, and then I'm going to pick this one that has just a little bit of shadow behind it. And so I'm going to click on the first column, third option down. And it says click here to add your text. So I can go ahead and click on this placeholder and delete that, and then go ahead and move this placeholder up. And so we want the text to just simply say Career Finders, because that's the name of our company. Now, again, you can take a look at that. Do you think it's okay? Do you think it blends too much? Honestly, maybe the shadow color could be tweaked a little bit instead of being the gray. And so when I select that text, notice that I have text fill, which is going to be this dark black color in here. So that's the text fill. If I wanted to change the text fill, I could click the drop down, and I'm just going to pick red so you can see. Obviously it's not going to go with my theme, so I will be changing it back. The outline would be the white around the letter, not the gray, but the white. And so, whoops, if I go ahead and I select that and go to outline, maybe instead of white, which it is, I want it to be black. So I'm going to click on black. Notice how it changed the color there. And then this gray behind it is a shadow. And so I could go ahead and I could select that. And then under text effects, under shadow, I can go under shadow options, and I can pick the shadow color that I have. So right now it's set to gray. I could go in and set it to a green just because I want you again to be able to see it. So there I was able to change that to make it stand out a little bit more. Again, this really doesn't match what we're doing. And so I'm going to go ahead and select that, and instead of the green fill, I want to go ahead and change that fill. Let's see, let's go to text effects, shadow options. Let's make that fill kind of a brown to match what's going on, maybe even a little deeper brown. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change that text fill back to black, and I'm going to change the outline back to white. So there you can see that it kind of blends a little bit with my background. And so now I want to do the same thing on slide 1. I want it to match. So you guys, it's really easy once you have it done on one slide. All you have to do is right click and copy, and then click on slide 1, and we can delete this text box, or placeholder, excuse me. and then we'll just right click and we will paste to use the destination theme, and there we have it. So we just went in with WordArt and we made some subtle changes. You guys remember from Microsoft Word there are tons of things that you can do with the effects. You could put a glow around your letters, etc. But you just want to make sure that you're keeping it looking professional. The next thing that I want to do is talk to you about footers. Footers are really important in your presentations. They kind of help you, they give you information on maybe where it was created, if it was created by a company, lets you know what slide you're on as you're referencing it and presenting it. And so I'm going to go back to the Insert tab, and I'm going to go ahead under the text grouping, and I can see I have header, footer. So I'm going to click on header, footer, and I have some options. Is it important for my PowerPoint to have a date on it? That's up to you. If you want it to have a date, you click on date. You can have it update automatically. You can choose the date style that you want. If you want a date on there, that's up to you. So I could just click on this one. If you want it to be in a fixed position, then it will put it in a fixed location. Do you want it to have a slide number? If you want it to have a slide number, you can choose that. If you don't want the slide number to show on the title slide or any of the footer to show on the title slide, which most people don't, you're just going to click the checkbox that says don't show on the title slide. And then footer, if I click on this, I can put, you know, maybe created by Tammy Munson. And so I can apply that to all my slides, or I can apply it just to certain slides. If I choose apply all, there's nothing on the title slide, but when I go to the second slide, there's who created it, the date, and the page number, or the slide number. Again, honestly, I think it's too much. And so I could go back in here to my header, footer, and I do not want the date and time, or I do not want the date. I don't want it to be fixed. Let me go ahead and I'll double click in it. And let's just go ahead, and I don't want the date and time to show up on my slides, but I do want a slide number and I do want the footer. And again, I don't want it to show on the title slide. So I'm going to click apply all. Go back and look. It's not on the title slide, just the name and the slide, name and the slide, and then it's not on the last slide because that's considered to be a title slide. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you want it to appear on that last slide, what you would have to do is come back in here and double click, and you don't have to have the created by, you could just simply have your name on there if you wanted to. But what you would have to do is go back in and edit it, choose to take the check mark out, apply to all, and then come back into your title slide and just simply delete the placeholder for those items if you didn't want it on there. And then here, maybe you don't want it up in this image. So you can go ahead and click on your placeholder, and you could just move it down in the approximate position that you see it on your other slides. So that would be very appropriate. So now when I go ahead and view my presentation, I can see that I have a footer on those slides. And again, here, if you wanted to move that footer down, you could. What I want you to pay attention to when you're working with footers is this. Depending on your theme, your footer may appear in a weird location. So if I go under design, and I'm trying to think if it was, there's one of them where the footer, this one. So here's an example. The footer, the slide, actually shows up in the little tab in this one. Same thing here. Notice how the name runs along the side. those would be things that you would want to move the position of it to the bottom of the slide instead of it being in that location. So just some things to keep in mind. In this particular example, the name and or the footer and the page number or slide number are off to the right. So again, your theme has an awful lot to do with where things show up. Here, the slide number is up in the margin with the name because it'd be very difficult to see it down here in the wood. So again, picking your theme is pretty important before you get started. And you can always go in and modify things by moving them. The last thing that I wanted to mention is always run your spelling and grammar check when you feel like you're done with your PowerPoint presentation. So go ahead and you go to your review tab and click on your spelling, and it went through and it spell checked my PowerPoint. If I go into this PowerPoint and I make a mistake here and I see the red wavy line, I come to the beginning of my PowerPoint, I go to review, I do my spell check, it's going to take me to the point of where the error is at. And so here I have to go in and I have to just manually make the change. INFORM, because it's not seeing it. And so now it says that the spell check is complete. So wanted to just go back and touch on being able to add word art to your slide, being able to add a footer to your slides, and then also being able to run a spelling grammar check.